chat
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
So
think you
what
can
we're
be fulfilled without with avoiding responsibility. I think
right.
Jordan Peterson talks about something like this. Like, you try to
Totally.
go through your life and try to, oh, I don't want kids, I don't want to fuck, this, and it's like, why? What's it all for then? Just so you can self-actualize and forever, or what's the end goal here?
Right. Well, it's funny. You kind of had you had this mindset shift before you had a family, you know? So
Yeah.
what changed for you, I guess, now having a kid?
Well, I'll tell you what. So people have asked me, like, man, did you have some big perspective shift or? But I
Right.
go, not really,
Yeah.
not really. I didn't because I felt like I was on a pretty good track before, and as far as like striving, right,
Right.
like ambitious, like it
Right. Of
didn't like
course.
level my ambition up a bit. Like I felt like I was
Right.
pretty in turning and
Locked in,
burning.
dude.
So that,
Yeah.
if anything, it just made me a little bit more strategic, right? And just, think through. I got, now you're involving more people in your decision making process.
Right.
And so, if
Right.
anything,
Right.
it just made me more strategic in that sense. But, you know, uh, it's also just really cool. It slows some things down. It makes me more present at moments. She's sitting on my lap and just kind of sleeping. It's like,
Huh.
wow, this is pretty cool. That type of
Yeah.
moments are cool.
That's awesome. Let me introduce you to the show. So, welcome back to the Mind Body Mushroom, the podcast where we dive deep into holistic health, personal growth, and the mindset shifts that fuel high performance. I'm your host, Jordan Ryan, and as always, this episode is brought to you by Wind and Sea Coffee, the world's best tasting adaptogenic coffee. Today, we are honored to host an absolute legend. Taylor Cavanaugh is a man who has both reached the highest peaks of success and plumbed the deepest depths of despair. Taylor's journey is unparalleled. He is the first American to have served as both a U.S. Navy SEAL and a French Foreign Legionnaire. However, his path was marred by personal and legal challenges, including incarceration, addiction, and homelessness. In a quest for personal redemption and purpose, he enlisted in the French Foreign Legion, embracing on a new identity and the Legion's rigorous demands. Taylor's experiences have been featured on shows such as Soft White Underbelly and Mic Drop Podcast, where he shares profound insights on leadership, adaptability, and the philosophy of having no plan B. He now dedicates his life to guiding others towards personal realignment, emphasizing the deliberate training of both mind and body to achieve inner peace and clarity. Taylor, thank you for giving us this time. Welcome to the show. I didn't mention in the intro, you're also a good friend of mine, and I'm just honored to have you here. You're like big leagues and playing on the JV team today, but it's greatly appreciated, bro. You have such an amazing story. I just want to share it with my audience. Like they deserve to hear it. So thanks
Bro,
for
you're
being here.
playing big leagues too, dude. I've tasted your coffee, man. That shit's fire.
Thanks, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm stoked to have you out. Are you actually in Winnsea? Are you living there?
I'm like North PB area, like kind of like the Bird Rock North PB area. So, but our like main kind of hub is right there at Windansea. We're out of Valley Farm Markets and the Blue Whale, which is like right there in
Okay.
like downtown La Jolla. So I'm there often, and that's kind of like our pseudo home base. But yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite place in the world, bro. One of
Oh
them.
no
I'm dead
shit,
serious.
dude. Well,
Yeah,
you're from
because
San Diego, right?
well, just to kind of, since we're on a mushroom vibe here a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. Let's go.
So in high school, that was Winnsea was my mushroom beach.
Oh
That's where
no
we would do
way.
mushrooms. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So bro, I
I
had
could
some
see
of the
that.
most amazing trips there because there's something special about the energy there. We would have half days in high school
Huh.
and mob from Poway in our lifted trucks and go out like near the summer and we would eat mushrooms and go walk. I would walk from Windansea to La Jolla Shores, almost La
Oh
Jolla tide
shit,
pools.
dude. Oh
Dude,
my god.
I would walk from Windansea to La Jolla tide pools, in fact, just having, deep insights and stuff. And then I'd
Yeah.
go sit in and Windansea still, and 'cause a lot of people don't know about it, which is kind of
Right.
nice. But
Right. Right.
you got to be kind of local to be kind of aware of it. And I love just posting up in the coves. I just got really good energy there. It reminds me of Hawaii or Laguna or something. I just like the vibe, dude. So that's why like Windansea's got a special place in my heart, bro.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you know? You probably know Andy Warhol, the like
Yeah,
artist.
Yeah,
So Andy Warhol, I guess like in the 70s. I don't really know his like connection to like Southern California, but I guess when he was in Southern California, specifically at Windansea, there's like some quote where he's talking about how it's like one of the most like iconic beaches for like the California like surf, beach aesthetic. There's like that is like the epicenter from which all other aspects of that culture has kind of come from. Obviously Hawaii too, but like you said, Hawaii is sort of, it has like a Hawaii vibe
yeah.
there. There is
Dude,
something about that energy.
yeah, it's a special beach. The shape, the size, the break, dude. That I mean, it's a heavy. Like some of those
Yeah.
shore breaks. My mom actually saved somebody. My mom's a really good
No
swimmer. When I was
shit.
young, she saved some like tourists who were caught in a rip, but on a short. Like, it was like shore break. It was just kind of a
Right.
hectic. They like, my mom swims out there, so I've had
No
some cool
way.
moments at that spot because the energy's heavy there. Like you got a good
Yeah,
shore
dude.
break, you got a good regular break. You also have, the
Right.
hut, and then you have some
Yeah.
area with space, and then obviously the homes in the back. I
Right.
I I've had some low moments in my life, dude, where even in the SEAL teams when some things were going on, dude, I would go drive to Windansea and just sit there,
Really.
even in the winter and just fucking sit on the beach, bro. It's like my spot to like retreat to.
That's so funny, dude. I want to talk about some of those low moments, but maybe let's back up a little bit
Yeah,
and you know, um, I don't want to like be on the same path, like you've
yeah,
covered your story, but I think there's really some important context there for people to know
yeah.
because your story's fucking incredible, dude. So do you want to just kind of rewind us back to, maybe you joining the military, just so we can start
Yeah,
there.
I'll give you a 30,000-foot overview just so
Yeah, cool.
people have
Sick.
got kind of a frame is, getting out of college, I had stacked a lot of bad habits. I had course corrected a little and gotten right, but still I had a lot of misdemeanors. And I was on probation and I needed some things. And so I couldn't get in the military. So I had to go to jail to commute my probation. And then I come out of jail and with no real guarantees, I just kind of rolled the dice with that piece to try to commute my sentence. And Marines turned me down for tattoos. The Army turned me down for uh, criminal background or just checkered past. And then the Navy would allow me to do it, but
Of course.
only if really I could pass the SEAL screener, right? So I took me about 9 months, a lot of waivers, letters of recommendation. I was stacking boxes at Home Depot, just living on my mom's house, riding a fucking bike, that whole thing. And so bound and determined, right, to get out of that.
Mhm.
I bought a Jeep for like 500 bucks, dude, from my aunt that was just, purple and was driving down to the amphibious base training with guys. But got my SEAL contract, shipped out. So it was about 2010 for people to get February 2010 to give people a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
went into the pipeline, man. Like how pipelines are. It's like once you kind of get in there, it's like, you're
Yeah.
just head down going through it as you've
Right.
experienced. And met some great people, felt really in my purpose, was
Right.
people that haven't experienced it. You probably have, Jordan. It's like there's
Yeah.
very few moments in life where you're exactly where you need to be.
Dude, 100%. That's so crazy because I remember, I was kind of the same thing. I was a finance major in college. I got out of it and I was like, fuck, I really don't want a job. Like I will do
Yeah,
basically anything to not have to,
yeah,
go sit at a desk. And so same deal. I was initially looked at SWIC program, eventually went to the SEAL pipeline. And, the days that you're in training, you're there in phase, you're like, I have no idea how I'm gonna get through today. You're sitting there at breakfast and just like the fucking enormity of what you're about to go through. And then,
yeah,
7, 8 p.m., you're there washing down the boats and you're like, I somehow I'm still fucking here, and just that like little bit of a sense of accomplishment, like it was like nothing I had ever felt before in my life, and it was a hundred
yeah.
percent like in alignment with purpose. Sorry to take you off, but
No,
yeah, brother, like I hundred
no. We're having
percent.
an open dialogue because
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more, man. It's alignment is what we're all after, to be
Mm,
quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
Alignment is what we're all after, but through all these mediums and modes and this, because what is alignment? It's clarity, it's inner peace. That's what
Right.
alignment is.
Yeah.
And as you well know, you're washing down those boats, you're cold, you're tired, but you're looking around, you're like, I'm here. Like there
Yeah.
is just this is where I'm at. It's presence in its ultimate form. And that's simple, right? Life gets more
Right.
complicated as we
Right.
know, but it's you look back on those moments and it's like, wow, life was simple and very pure in its state. And so yeah, man, that was a cool process and did well and I ended up going through 284 and SQT and buds and then went to SEAL Team 7, man. And during this time was I was pretty locked on, very focused, had a couple like almost type shit, and as far as just acting incorrect on the weekend, drinking too much or
Sure.
whatever, but like one time, right? In like a big
Right.
ass period of time, just because I was really focused. But getting into the SEAL teams, same thing, very focused, doing my thing, and then as time kind of went on, now getting promotions and doing well, and things start to get loose and you don't recognize them getting loose because I'm like, hey man, I'm getting early promotes. I've got all the quals. I'm doing
Mm,
well and I'm performing on the field.
right.
But like in the NFL or anywhere else, what do they always talk about? Off the field fucking
Yeah.
issues. It's like
It's like your
very rarely,
professional life and your personal life are starting to go like this, you know?
yeah. And you can't bend reality that long. And it's
Mm,
only if you're playing with fire, you're gonna get fucking burned. That's just,
mm,
I was pushing. It could have been a bunch of different things I got, issues for, but it really was a couple ARIs, alcohol-related incidents, really, a couple years apart. But that brought a lot of heat on myself.
mm.
Had to go to jail in the teams, fight back my security clearance, get it back, go again, and just Navy Jag was not feeling it. They were fuck this guy, dude, and right on him. Right, I'm not hating on him for it. It's just like
Right,
I'm no
right.
victim in this scenario. And so I got TED tested, failed for steroids, and that was it. Right, zero tolerance, and so I got a general discharge. Well, after 7 years. So that was about a 7 year period in the military, and that was it though. But and then walking out, I was a civilian. So that's kind of like where that chapter ended.
So, I remember, when you became a civilian, it seemed like you were actually getting some success, like in your career
Yeah,
wise. What was that transition? Because you hear a lot of people struggling with that initial transition, and there sounds like there's definitely some struggle to come. But at least in that
yeah.
initial phase, it seems like you were finding success.
Yeah, I'm good at leveraging connections. Like
Yeah.
I can build connections, maintain connections, and I saw it wasn't like a mystery that I was going to be getting kicked out of the team. So I had about 6 months where I'm trying to figure out this. When I got done licking my wounds and got my, there was a lot of uncertainty because I had to go back to jail. I had federal marshals here in a van. I was doing a bunch of other shit too during this time where I was selling coke to make the money to do the attorneys, and now I'm like, dude, taking dude. Just looking back, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Right, my mind. I was really pushing because anything could have happened, dude. And I'm away at prison for years, right? I was already on a violation
Right.
for an out of state, violation on a violent crime, and now I'm stacking up. Dude, it's just insanity. So, but kind of figured some shit out. Figured out that what that path wasn't the right path, and hemorrhaged some things. But I had leveraged a contact to go into private residential development at a company, a very large private developer. Just through some contacts and stuff, and
Yeah.
just asking people what I needed for them. Like, hey, can I talk to this guy? Can I sit down with this guy? And ended up getting a job building houses down in Chula Vista on a very large uh, development. It's called the Sky. It was like a $750 million development down in Chula Vista near the amphitheater. And
Yeah.
cool, man, right? Learning a lot, just running teams. Like I didn't know anything about construction, but our world where we come from, you learn how to be self-sufficient
Right.
and find information, and also how to run teams and how to be, hey guys, and that's really what that whole job was. So I was good at it.
Right.
Went into a lateral move to start in the cannabis industry, which was with We started this business called Silo, Storage Information Logistics Operations. We built a facility. We're getting licenses and stuff for distribution out in Palm Springs. Now I'm the CEO of that company. So now I'm pitching decks, and the venture capitalist who was funding a lot of these things. Now I'm his right hand man in a lot of different projects. And so it was just building, but also the habits, right? And so right when I had got out of the military to back up, a couple years was, I'm taking Adderall, Xanax, smoking weed, and I'm not saying that that's the worst thing, but alcohol every day, right? It was just not during the day, not during my time, right? Working. So that's the lie piece. I was still going to the gym. I still had the truck. I lived in PB, so I had it was nice, man. And I thought I had some good stuff, but really, and you might have run into moments like this, Jordan. It's just my emotional discipline was terrible. Like violent with people in my life, was very explosive, was couldn't tell me shit, right? And I still had my moral compass was off. Like I hadn't really fixed the part of like what you can't just do what the fuck you want, right? And expect things to work out right. You're stacking karmic debt, and it was just I was doing a lot of things that I didn't learn. I couldn't really see as wrong at the time. I might have maybe thought they were like, but I just blew right past it and negotiated with myself. And so that was what was happening during those 2 years. And at some point, I stacked on a fentanyl habit, so I'm snorting fentanyl at night while I'm sending emails all night. Right? I wasn't just like off fucking around. That's just why I could
Right.
lie. I'm like, dude, I'd stay up till 2, 3 in the morning, pitching decks, building decks, writing emails, doing all this shit, then go to sleep for 3 hours and take Adderall up and fucking go all day and then do that same shit at night. It was just for a year, right? And so fucking, speed wobbles like a motherfucker, dude, and everybody could see it. It was good until it wasn't, right? I was crushing it, and so nobody could really tell me anything until it all came crashing down, and that's what happened.
Right. So,
Yeah.
would you say that there's like how would you define the difference between maybe success and alignment, like we were kind of talking about? Because on one hand, I
Whoa,
mean,
that's a good question.
you're fucking crushing it. You're CEO of this company. You're putting in the work. You're staying up all night. Like sometimes, dude, I beat
Wow.
myself up that like I'm like, am I working hard enough? Should I be pulling more hours? Should I be doing
Yeah.
this thing? But so go ahead, elaborate.
Wow. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask a question like that. That's a really good question. I've been playing with this idea of success versus significance,
Yeah,
and this
interesting.
kind of aligns with that in that, success and alignment pretty much by definition is sustainable.
Right. Right.
Alignment is also not way out of balance. People always say,
Right.
hey, life shouldn't be balanced. You're right. You're right. I get it. You got to work hard. There's no such thing as balance. Okay. Okay. But at some point, it kind of matters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody can
Right.
agree with that. And so also karmic debt.
Yeah, you
So
talk a lot about that.
you can be successful, but it's how we're defining what success is. So if we're talking monetarily, if it just numbers on a screen, that's success. Okay. Then yeah, you can be success and completely out of alignment. But if you're
Mhm.
talking about success,
Mm,
which I'm starting to define it as life excellence, right?
right.
A whole life of
Mm,
your relationships are good, people respect you, you respect your fucking self,
mm,
you're physically capable, your business is positive and doing well. That's what I call success now.
right.
So if it's just monetary, I don't consider that because you can be a fucking drug dealer successful, but it's all going to go away at some point. Right? I mean, it's just how, the nature of the beast. Like, what are we really defining as success? And
Mm,
what is peace of mind worth?
totally.
Holy shit,
Totally.
dude. If you're doing the
Right.
wrong shit, and this is what I experienced dealing drugs and stuff, dude, I knew I was doing wrong. And so my peace of, you're worried about what's happening below you, and this guy owes you money, and now it's fucking getting violent and shit. It's like,
Shit.
that's not success to me, bro. I
Right.
don't care
Right.
what anybody tells me. Like, peace of mind is success also. And
For
so
sure.
alignment means your moral decisions are good, You respect yourself, right? It's alignment in all areas. And that is how I would define success and alignment is to have true success, you have to be aligned.
That makes a lot of sense, dude. So here's a question: how come in buds it's so easy to find that piece of alignment, and like a lot of you're just kind of signing up on a dotted line. You have this
Yeah.
idea of what being a Navy SEAL is going to be like in a movie, in a
Hmm.
book, and whatever the fuck, and then you get there and you're on the grinder and you're doing it, and there is a little bit of separation between reality and the fiction of it,
Yeah.
but yet you're there, and like through no necessary effort of your own, you're in alignment. I mean, I guess it is your
Yeah.
effort, but like you just show up and do what you're told, and you're in a fucking
Hmm.
alignment. You know
Yeah.
where does that decouple from? I mean, dude, you're on the teams. You SQT. You're doing all of these things. How do you start? Where does the alignment kind of go off the rails?
Yeah. We cause our own disalignment or misalignment, right? It's my submission that we make life more complicated than it needs to be.
Mm,
I would have stayed perfectly aligned in the teams if I just stayed disciplined and locked on. I would
yeah.
have lived a great life. I probably would have stayed and become a master chief, right? I had totally no want to get out, really,
Oh
at
yeah.
the most part.
You're
I
a
really
lifer.
liked what I do. I liked what I was doing, but the
Right.
it's desires, succumbing to desires, immediate
Mm,
gratification, pleasure seeking,
mm,
right? And then losing sight of purpose. So I think when we're back in buds and this, it's very simple. You're in purpose. Your purpose is to be a SEAL. So it's very laser
mhm,
focused. When you
mm,
hit that pinnacle, now you're SEAL, what's next, right? If you don't set that
yeah.
next goal, like go to DevGuru or
Right.
whatever that next
For
piece might
sure.
be, or GB,
For
whatever.
sure.
Well, now what's the only option? It's to topple down, right? Now it's like now your attention gets spread. Now it's the chicks. Now it's the truck. Now it's the apartment. Now it's the fucking whatever, you know?
Mm,
And so it
yeah.
starts to get spread out. And so
Mm,
you're not, unless those things you're spread on are very, very concise and focused, like family and this, life gets more complicated. I think as
right.
life gets more complicated, it becomes increasingly more difficult to stay aligned. So that's why you have to be really laser focused on what your purpose is, or it's very easy to get pulled off track.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So let's get back to the story. So you're working, you're CEO of this cannabis company. You're up all night, racking Fenny lines, getting
Yeah.
shit done, putting together
Yeah.
PowerPoints. You know. So go ahead, take it from there.
Yeah, and then, dude, I went, face down, tits up, smashed my face on a thing. It wasn't the first time that had happened, right? Just completely, just, and people found out, right? It was like
Mm,
now it was kind of like out, and it was just another. It was just, hey, man, you need to take a fucking break, that type of
right.
thing. You need to take a fucking couple
Right.
plays off,
Your
right? And so
personal
I was
life
like,
splashing into your professional
yeah,
life now. Your personal
yeah,
problems, and that's right.
yeah.
Right.
And my ex at the time was the attorney for my VC guy. Right. So who I had brought in, right? I had created that environment. So
Right.
it was
Right.
complex to say the
Uh-huh.
least. And
What a
so,
tangled web.
yeah, and also the relationship, like just, it was chaotic and it needed to be though, because right, no growth happened in comfort and it wasn't correct anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't healthy. And so it was life pushing me on a different path. And so I went to Hawaii, man. They're like, hey, take some plays off. I went out there. The VC guy had some business out there. He's like, go out there and just fucking chill for a little bit, and then we'll kind of get set up on some stuff out there. Big Island, Hawaii, and that's where I went, bro. But it was pretty much me getting marooned for the most part, and so I got marooned,
Yeah.
but I don't, but I marooned myself, right? It wasn't like anything I did
Right.
though. You go
Right.
out there, then emails are cut off, then this, then I'm out, right? Now I'm out in the
Mm.
cold. Now I'm out of money, right? Now I'm out of money. I'm off fentanyl though, right? I went through that because I knew changing my location though, I wouldn't have a
Mm.
dealer, I wouldn't have my
Mhm.
contacts. You're in fucking Hawaii. There's no like
Mm.
driving. It really was a good place to just kind of punch out. And that was hell, dude, right? I didn't really understand. I never really believed I was addicted,
Hmm.
truthfully, because
Wow.
I had never come off, right? So, right,
Right.
I never missed a day. And so I was
Right.
like, it felt great, right?
Oh,
And
great.
so,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, and so
Wow.
when I came off, I went, oh shit, this shit's real. Like I didn't sleep for 5 days. My joints started to swell up. I fucking could
Holy
not.
shit.
I felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I took
Uh,
myself to the urgent care, which is crazy for me, dude. Like, and I was like, hey, dude, I need you to hit me some Benadryl or give me something to sleep, right? Because I was maxed out. So
right.
that was it, dude. But I got off that. I'm still drinking and doing Adderall and stuff. But I'm going to the gym. I'm just coming out of the fog, man. But in a really shitty emotional state. Like, job's gone, girl's gone, like I had nothing. Now, then all that kind of winds up to me living in my truck. Shit runs out. I still wasn't living right. I could, and boom, right. And then I have no money, no gas. I'm parked in the jungle, like fuck, like right near where the volcano's erupting, right next to that, like way deep
Wow.
in the jungle on the east side of the Big Island. And I just go, man, this is how it happened. That type of feeling. And I just sat there for a few days, dude, really suicidal, man. Shotgun next to me, just really poo poo pants, woe is me, right? That type of fucking
Yeah.
thing. Not
Yeah.
sad though, not like crying or anything like that. I was just tired. I was just sick of it, dude. I was just sick of the ups and the downs. I'm like, what the fuck is the point, dude? And I had that moment of clarity or God or whatever anybody wants to call it. But that was like, dude, grab your nuts, reset. You got a mom, a sister, people that care about you. You ain't gonna do this shit. So that's when I decided to go in the Foreign Legion, just to give it like one last good push.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's I hear so many stories of, and including friends of mine, committed suicide, veterans, yeah, that would do it. And it's I think it's what's really hard for people to kind of wrap their head around is like, how does somebody who is the epitome of mental toughness, the epitome of no quit, everything that you would aspire to be, on a mental, and then yet they're like broken down when they leave the military or at various points. Can you talk about like where is that disconnect so that people can understand?
Yeah, it's a good question too. Is I think that there's like a nature part that those guys have or that we have that's like, okay. But then that self-worth is built off this purpose, this shared
Wow.
group
Yeah,
identity, right? That's
totally.
the self-worth where it's built from. So when that's taken away, if your self-worth is built off of something external, stand the fuck by. Right,
Yeah.
stand the fuck by, because it can get pulled away. We see it with guys with badges. The badge, the uniform, the whatever.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's not you. Right? So if you're holding your identity there, it's fucking stand the fuck by, dude. Because everybody's
Yeah.
got to put it away. It's some people put it away in the right ways, and some people put it away the wrong ways. But everybody experiences this like gap of like purposelessness or whatever it is,
100%.
and and that's what I think happens, and that's what I still hadn't solved yet, and I was trying to
Yeah.
solve with the Foreign Legion.
Right,
I was like,
right.
I need another
Yeah,
label to fix my shit.
100%, dude.
Yeah,
I felt the same way when I got injured. It was, that was sort of like, my I got medically separated for this injury, and so
yeah,
much of my identity was tied into my job, my reputation, the people around me. And then when one by one those things start falling away, there is like this huge sort of like gap of purpose, and like, well, if I'm no longer that, and now everyone thinks that I'm a fucking broke dick, what am
yeah,
I? What is my
yeah.
worth? So then you start looking towards the Foreign Legion, and yeah, what was that like? I think for a lot of
Yeah,
people, they're
Jordan.
not even familiar with what the Foreign Legion is. So maybe kind of
Yeah, Jordan.
elaborate.
And just going back on what you said, it's like people
Yeah,
ask, what do they always ask guys? What do you do?
right, right. First question.
What do you
Right,
do?
right. 100%,
You know
dude.
what I ask people now? Who are you?
Yeah, right.
Who are you? Right? And fucking, who the fuck are you? right? And that'll give me a better understanding of you. And so I had to ask myself who I was. And well, I went to the Foreign Legion, and people that don't know, it's like it's a foreign fighter unit and branch, really a small branch in the French military that's just comprised of foreigners. So about 200 years old, started by an old king, and to funnel foreigners back onto the battlefield with the carrot of French citizenship. It's modeled after the Roman legions. So anybody that's familiar with how the Romans had the legions, very similar. You have to
Hmm.
learn French. There's no way to sign up other than show up with a bag and knock on the door. So it's
Oh,
unique in
wow.
that capacity. There's no fucking application online. You don't call ahead, nothing. So you show up, you give them your passport, tell you get up on a pull-up bar. There's like 2 small bases to really do this. They have some small satellite ones on the outskirts of France, but really it's just 2 pre-selection centers that are going to be doing it. And from that point on, man, I didn't see that passport for like 3 years. 2 years and some change. They give you a fake name, and this is if you make it. But the pre-selections like IQ tests, medical, psychological evaluations, some physical tests. Then you'll go through a whole nother echelon of that, a little deeper in the selection center at the headquarters where everybody gets consolidated. And then they'll offer you a contract. And so that whole process is about a month.
Hmm.
You start in civilian clothes, and it's about 1 out of 15 guys who come to the door will actually get a contract offered. And so
Right.
that's the process, dude. And then, it's a 5-year deal, and you go to boot camp, and it's a highly trained infantry unit, right? So it's not
Right.
special forces, it's a highly trained infantry unit, and that is we all get taught the catch-all language of French.
Hmm.
So we all just speak shitty French to each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
But that process, man,
yeah, go
was
ahead.
powerful. It was a
Yeah,
powerful
right.
process of self-actualization because I got there broken, dude. I'll show
Right.
you a picture of me when I got. Maybe I'll show you some kind of picture of me when I got out of Foreign Legion boot camp. I was
Boot
so
camp.
fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
I
dude,
was
send
just haggard,
send it to
bro.
me after this because I'll put it in the there's a few like places, media spots where I can
Yeah,
drop it.
I
But
was haggard, bro, and I just was like beat up. But I built myself back up, right? It took me some years. You're in food deprivation, sleep deprivation. You're in psychological fucking just getting shit on. Going back to the bottom, dude.
yeah, right.
Clean
Was
this
the
fucking
ego check
toilet.
like a
You're working in
big thing?
kitchens. You're fucking yeah. You're low man on the totem pole, and you're a fucking foreigner. Low man on
Yeah,
the totem pole. So
right.
you're way down there. But we got to do some cool shit. They deployed us to my unit to the Amazon jungle down in French Guiana. So we did deep
Right.
jungle operations down there. We did some stuff with NATO a couple years later when Ukraine kicked off on the
Oh,
Russian
shit.
border in Estonia. We
Wow.
did some internal domestic missions patrolling interior of France for a couple months on the Riviera. Cool, right?
Yeah,
Some
that's right.
some
Oh
cool
yeah.
shit, but hard, right? You're walking with kit fucking 13 hours a day, right? It's like
Shit.
with an HK and full kit, and the Legion's strict, real strict. It's like the Marine Corps as far as
Hmm.
formality, saluting
Hmm.
officers, permission to enter every room, that type of shit. And
Oh shit. Yeah.
walking in lines everywhere, singing, walking, fucking. It's full tilt, formal military. You're getting checked, bases, IDs on the way out, searched on the way back in, drug tested back in.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's
Was
heavy,
it down
dude. And
in
if you fuck up, they send you these little jails.
Nice in on the Riviera?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. So our
where you
our
guys were
hub was
based on?
down in Nice. That
Yeah.
particular little mini deployment was in based out of Nice. But we would hit
Gotcha.
Cannes. We would hit
Oh, yeah.
Cannes, fucking over to all the way to that whole area of the coast.
Oh, that's sick. That's awesome. Now, no, it seems like there's a recurring theme kind of in your story and into the stuff that you've done after, which we'll get into in a little bit. But it seems like for you, alignment comes back to kind of stripping away all of these superfluous aspects of your life. I mean, like Buds is about as austere as it gets, and the the Legion is somehow
Yeah,
even more austere than that,
yeah, yeah.
you know. And that's where it seems like you kind of find that peace and alignment. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I really. started to understand the importance of simplicity more and more. I really started to toy with that idea, and also in the simplicity of my thoughts, right?
Hmm.
And what the things I consumed, like my
Mhm.
mental diet, right? Cutting out just mindless scrolling or porn or this or that, right? It's like,
Hmm.
I'm not saying you got to be a monk, right? But I'm saying it's just being more in control over the things I consumed and then starting to be more disciplined about my day. And this is when I was in the Foreign Legion. I'm in this barracks room. It's called barracks room. And I still wasn't happy, man. And I was still having some rough weekends. I was still kind of living kind of how I did, just in a different place.
Right.
And I just kept going, dude. Am I just gonna do this forever? Am I
Yeah.
just gonna kind of just
So,
keep doing this and go down the mercenary road and keep living this like life of feast and famine? And
mm,
I didn't see myself doing that. I wanted to make
right.
money. I wanted some more autonomy, right? I wanted to be
Right.
able to go to the beach if I fucking wanted. Shit like that, people take for granted.
Right.
I
Of
wanted, man.
course.
I wanted to live a life, and so I said, okay, well, I don't know how to do that or what this is going to look like, but I just know I just want to feel better now. That's literally where it started. And so I was like, well, I've always felt better when I get up early and do these things, and so I did.
Mm.
Started getting up earlier than everybody, and started just structuring my day better, tracking my food, learning more about nutrition, but then doing it all the time.
Mm.
Right, that was the other piece. Not like some days and then off days. And I was always obviously fit and did stuff. That
Right.
was
Right.
part of the lie I could tell myself. I was like, I'm better
Right.
than most. But I was like, I knew I wasn't as good as I could be. So I was like, well,
Dude.
let me see how tight I can get. And then I started to feel better. Started to build a little
Yeah.
bit more self-worth. I started to hold myself to a higher moral standard. Right. I just started
Mm.
like being very cognizant of like, dude, I don't need to go talk to that girl. I don't need to go out and do this. I started to save money. As simple as that sounds, like I was making 1,500 a month, in the fucking Foreign Legion, bro. Like making like nothing, but still saving more somehow than I did when I was making six figures, right?
Right. Right.
You know
Right.
why though? Because I realized, dude, I was like, bro, I wore the same 5 shirts for probably fucking 4 years, right? Same
Mm.
pair of shoes. Like I just simplified. I just didn't give a fuck. I stopped. Also, I was in another country, so I didn't have the pressure to be something and whatever. And I realized that all that really mattered was I proud of myself underneath everything, and that really helped. And so it was all these things, they started to stack on each other. I ended up
Gotcha.
getting just focused on my tattoos and working out and training and just staying focused on things that were only like in alignment, like we were
Right.
talking about, with the vision I had for myself. Like,
Gotcha.
man,
Let me.
I'm picturing myself in shape with money, disciplined. Well, then I better do those things, or else it's not gonna
Okay.
fucking happen.
Right. Right. So I guess where I'm kind of going with this questioning is, it seems simple when you're like, when everything is literally taken away and you're living this like monk like life.
Yeah,
I think the challenge comes, and you have, what I want you to talk about is, how do you start adding these levels of complexity? Like, yeah, I would like to
yeah,
have some money. I do want to have a nice house and a beautiful family and live in San Diego, which requires a lot of, you can't just be,
yeah,
a $1,500 a month, 5 shirts kind of deal, so
yeah,
so
yeah,
where there's a little bit of a disconnection, but how do you pair those two things? Because that's what everyone wants, dude. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I think people kind of get it. They're like, if I had everything taken away and I was like in prison, like fucking Wes Watson kind of message,
yeah,
where he's like, you build these habits because you're literally in this fucked up crucible where you have to do this to survive, but then when
yeah,
you're out here, dude, you have all of these freedoms and all these distractions and choices, and you kind of want some of them for your life. So how do you
yeah,
keep from fucking it up again?
yeah. That's a massively important piece. And I spoke at a prison in Ohio here last week,
Really?
and we touched on this exact topic. I
Really?
was like, dude, you you have to do the reps, the
Yeah.
repetitions when it's simple, so that when it gets more complex and it's not getting easier, when the kids
Yeah.
come, the bills come,
Yeah.
the this comes, the that comes,
Oh, shit.
So you have to have such a rooted daily system. And I don't mean like be a robot, right? But you have to have these like rooted daily disciplines that are non-negotiable for you that you just do, like holding yourself to a standard of waking up early, physical
Mhm,
activity, mindful eating, cutting back on
mhm,
vices. As far as
mhm.
like losing your wits, right? I don't mean be a monk. I just mean, being fucking using things as crutches or escapism, right? Like we don't want to. We want to build a life we don't need to escape from. And so,
Yeah, right,
because the
right.
complexities are coming, so when the distract, also rooting the morality deep. Like, do you really buy into the fact that if you do something and nobody really knows about it, that it's really a bad thing? Because if you
Mm,
don't, you're fucked. Right?
right. Where's
That's the
your
truth.
moral compass? What sets that for you? Is it religion? I know heard you talk about like kind of universal laws.
Yeah.
For you, like what guides that sense of morality?
What guides my that sense of morality, simply said, is your internal advisor, right? The
Mm,
authentic voice of God is what it's called,
mhm,
for what people have called it ancient times. Your
mm,
conscience. Your
right.
conscience.
Wow.
Conscience congruency.
You
Conscience
know.
congruency. People can call it whatever they want. I don't like people getting caught up on semantics because people are like, "Oh, I don't believe in God." I'm like, "Well, dude, you know what the fuck I'm talking about."
Right. Right.
And so it's
Right.
like, right, I don't like coming at people with this with a foundation of authority, right, a rule of authority, because if they deny the authority, then they don't. But I'm like, look, when you something says don't do that and you do it anyway, guess what? Right? You might get away with it, but you didn't really get away with it because you've stacked some karmic debt on you somewhere, right? Also, so that there's that piece, and that restraint, whether it be cheating or your diet or whatever, all those things matter, man, because they stack. Moral, there's no way around the fact, and everybody tries to get around this fact, that the only way to live a really great, excellent life is superior moral conduct. There's no way
Mm,
around it.
yeah.
There's no
Right.
way around it. If you're doing
Right.
fucked up shit, I promise you some fucked up shit's coming.
Wow.
Everybody understands that. They
Right.
all do. Like, and I'm not saying every. And this goes back to the other piece about success. Yes, there's people that have money that are pieces of shit, but who knows how long that's going to last, and who knows how it is for them behind closed doors, right? So let's
Right.
get rid of that like thought, right? It's not about just money. It's like you want to be there with money and success and moral clarity. That's success. So that's what I say. Start building. If you can get that piece, that moral
Yeah.
clarity and the daily habits locked, when it's simple, nothing changes. That's the core, right? That's the core. Like everything else hovers around that, right? And so everything else has to. It has to. So when the whatever comes and you get more money, and now the distractions come, and now this and that, or you can fuck some guy over in a business deal or whatever. It's like, I saw something you posted the other day. It was something about like your renter or something being a piece of shit, And I'm like,
Oh yeah. I had a squatter,
here's
bro.
the truth. That person does not live a good life.
For sure.
They
Yeah,
don't.
100%.
They don't, because
100%.
they're a piece of shit, right? And so
Dude,
it's like they're not being forthcoming, honest. Like we have to be these things if we want to live in any type of like peace and
dude,
live a
it's so funny
successful
that
life.
you mentioned that guy because I remember thinking at the time. I mean, obviously, I was fucking pissed. Dude, I can barely afford this house. Like, you are a
Yeah,
solution to the problem, and now you are a massive problem. And I'm
yeah,
just like,
the
how can
biggest.
you like? I'm not fucking BlackRock. I'm not some like
Yeah,
corporate, landlord. Like, I'm just a dude who's trying to, you came to me
yeah,
saying that you were going through a divorce, you have a kid with autism, like, Assad's story, and I'm like here trying to help you out. And then you just like royally fuck me, and continuously do it day after
yeah,
day. So I was obviously super pissed about it. But I mean, I remember thinking this at the same time. I'm looking at this dude's life, and I'm like, I actually just feel bad for you, man.
yeah,
And then he he while he was there, he, allegedly developed some sort of like autoimmune thing, or he was dealing with it for a little bit, but like it had gotten like worse just in the
Yeah,
time, and I'm like, dude, your finances are fucked, your home life is fucked, your relationships fucked,
yeah,
your health is now fucked, everything in
yeah,
your life is falling apart, and it's
yeah,
because you do shit like this, because you have
yeah,
no sense of other people and you just don't
yeah,
fucking care, and it comes
yeah.
back.
Oh, bro, it's at a cellular level. Being a piece of shit gets people at a cellular level. And I gotta,
I love that.
Jordan, this is a honest question. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, how old are you, Jordan?
34.
34, right? Mid 30s. Look young as
Yeah.
fuck. Dude, I'm
Yeah.
39. I'm not saying I'm some spring chicken, but I'll tell you what. I look at guys I went to high school with who maybe weren't the
Yeah.
best of dudes. They look
Right.
haggard, bro.
Really.
Haggard.
Right.
And my fiance was talking about it. She goes, girls, she grew up in like Newport and places that some girls weren't the nicest human beings. Looking at
Uh-huh.
them now, and they're, bro, your
Wow.
soul matters. If you got a
That's
shitty
wild.
soul, it's gonna
Yeah.
it manifests. It
Yeah.
manifests and it starts to
Right.
bleed into your phenotype. Because being
Wow.
young, like as you see people that have that young, bright, vibrant, clear energy, they
Yeah.
fucking look like it. They look
Right.
like it, and it's like, dude,
Right.
that stuff matters. And health and this and that, dude. What do you think? Stress and having low self worth and knowing and going against your conscience a lot, because that guy knows his conscience isn't telling him to fuck you. I know. There's no way, because that's not how
Right.
the authentic voice of God works. It's negotiations, and negotiations are where the devil comes in. The
Wow.
negotiations are where that you're getting pulled out of alignment. And so that's where people I go, dude, if you're trying to negotiate with yourself, you're about to make an ugly choice, right? If you're trying to
Wow.
convince yourself or justify something, if you're in justification mode, you're not making a beautiful choice, because you don't have to justify beautiful choices. Do you have to justify going and walking down on Windansea Beach on a morning with a coffee?
Right.
No.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's like it's you just do it because you know it's smart and it's a positive
Yeah.
thing.
Just feels
We
right.
we
It feels good.
justify we
Right.
justify oh, going down to Hong Kong and Tijuana or some shit, right? It's like we justify those things,
Right, right.
right? We
Or in his
justify,
case, he's justifying, like, yeah, hey, I know it's wrong that I'm fucking this guy, but like, hey, at least he has a house. I'm about to lose my house. I'm dealing with this and my job. I'm about to lose this and blah blah blah. And so yeah, you are negotiating. So yeah, I'm fucking him over, but like, woe is me. My situation's so much worse,
yeah,
and you're justifying it. You are negotiating with it. I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
yeah. It's a total justification. Justification is how you know you're about to make a bad decision. It's just you don't need to
Wow.
justify things that are simple and clear and honest. You just don't. Because you don't even your mind doesn't go through that process. It doesn't need to.
Right. Right. So let's go back to your kind of we're in the Foreign Legion, and now let's talk about your transition out. That's kind of an interesting piece of the story as well.
Yeah, man. And so I was on the back, the back of the contract. I was about 4 years, and I had a small injury in my calf, so I had been in the hospital with. They were just looking at it. It was fine, but they just wanted to see what the fuck was going on with it. And so, man, that's when I was like, you know what? Didn't have any social media, nothing. Wasn't online. In the SEAL teams, it wasn't a thing, and I just got offline went off grid for a long time because I knew, bro, I didn't have anything to say yet,
Hmm.
but I knew at some
Hmm.
point I did. I wanted to write a good
Hmm.
story, but there was no redemption arc. You have to be redeemed. You gotta build. I still
Yeah.
wasn't right. I still wasn't
Right.
right, so I didn't really want to share anything, man. And so I spent a long time of internal reflection and getting honest. And then over some years, dude, I felt great every day. I felt good about myself and what I was doing, and even in a very tough environment. And that's when I was like, man, I could teach people how to do this. I,
Hmm.
I was suicidal, and now after years in a very stark environment, I built myself back up.
Right.
So I just put the camera down and started practicing, and then sent my story, right? Uploaded my story and just stream of consciousness, put it on YouTube, and wanted to share that. not preach, but just share information of, man, this is where I was and here's where I'm at and these are the things that helped me. Take
Can I
it or
pause
leave
you
it.
for a second? Because
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Ryan Williams, Industry Threadworks guy. You're wearing his
Bro, I'm
tee.
rocking his shirt right now, bro.
Yeah, bro. So Ryan and you were huge inspirations in even me starting this podcast. And
Nick.
I was having lunch with Ryan sometime, it's maybe like 6 months ago, and I was talking with him, and I don't remember exactly what got us on this subject, but I was talking about how like it's really hard to make content because you're constantly like, oh, that sucks, or like, no, what am I gonna say? You're overthinking it. And he was like,
Yeah.
dude, sometimes you like, he's like, you got to be a little dumber. Like, you got to dumb yourself down and just fucking put out the phone and just start recording. And he was like,
Yeah.
like take my friend Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, no shade, no shade, but yeah,
No, I
he was
get
like, this dude doesn't give a fuck. He does not give a fuck what he's not attached to the outcome of this video. He just puts it
yeah.
down and starts going,
Yeah.
and in the art of doing that is, and I'm consuming your content and I'm like, damn, dude, what's my fucking excuse? So that's kind of, anyway, sorry to throw you off, but like
No, this is
y-
an important topic because
yeah,
you said something very well, like the attach the outcome. It's hard not to, right? We want the
right,
success. We want it to happen right now. But there was a year I was talking to like 30 people. A lot of people don't know
right,
that. I was
right.
talking to like my mom and aunts and like some Legionnaires getting shit. They're like, "Oh, what are you, a vlogger now?" But I was just practicing. I
Right.
was just talking on, and I just, I had no following, dude, zero, and so I didn't
Yeah.
care because I was just like, I want to get this out of my body and share some of these things. And like
Mhm.
you on a, dude, you got to remember, you're in a beautiful location. Walk and talk, man. Right? Walk and talk. Be by the ocean, man. Just made me think about this,
Right.
right? Just
That's a good
sharing
call.
things that are opening up. All it is just a video diary, bro, that you're sharing with people, right?
Right.
Because the brand building is really just people understanding who you are. Then they want to support what
Totally.
you do. Comes
Totally.
after, right? Because then your product's good too, so it backs it up. So it's like just brand. I heard something great the other day. It was somebody said brand, personal brand matter. Like think about if Nike, like branding, if they built a building, kind of understand what that might look like.
Yeah.
You could
Right.
kind of be
Right.
sleek, it'd be kind of dark, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
or
Right.
and you go, all right, who's the CEO of fucking Tesla, right? Everybody knows, personal brand, right?
Mm.
Who's the CEO of fucking American Airlines?
Right. Right.
Nobody
Right.
knows. Just like, hey, if Hilton built a shoe, what would it look like? Nobody
Yeah. Right.
fucking knows, right? It's like there's no, so branding that is so important because it like gives the style to it. So then to
Totally.
do that, people have to understand your style, how you get down. And
Yeah.
that was like that's kind of just where I just understood. I just wanted to share what I had in my way, not trying to fucking be anything for anybody other than what I thought was valuable to myself, what
Right.
I would want to hear. Honesty and authenticity and then just letting it go and not getting too attached to that outcome, right? And just being like, this is
Right.
just is what it is, and just being in it for the long haul. That was the other piece. I
Right.
was like, dude, I'm starting this, but I'm not stopping until I die. I assure you. I was like, I'm gonna
Right.
do 2 uploads of fucking YouTube. I don't care. A full long form every fucking Monday and Thursday. And I've done that since then. And I've changed countries.
Wow.
I've fucking had kids.
Yeah.
I've never missed an upload, right? 3:30, and I do that, but I'll do that till the day I fucking die. Mark my words. Until
Right.
I get pulled off this thing, right? I will not stop. And so I've just made that
Huh.
commitment to myself. But that battle rhythm, that
Yeah.
consistency, was what I started to kind of learn back then, and I just sent it, and I was just not going to be deterred. And so when the Foreign Legion came at me a little hard, right, some of the story, and they're like, "Hey, pull your shit down, or we're putting you in jail," I was like, "No, fucking no." They're
Yeah.
like, "Well, we're gonna, put you on food discipline in jail for fucking 4 months, dude."
Oh my
It was
God.
breaking big rocks into small
That's
rocks,
wild.
and I was like, "No." because I was getting emails. Guys were like, "Hey, I was going to kill myself. I didn't. I really appreciate you putting out the video." I knew
Yeah.
I was onto something, and I wasn't going to
Yeah.
stop the momentum because of some fucking rule. Also, I'm a foreigner. I'm not a French citizen. I don't
Yeah.
have legal protections there. I don't know what the documents are saying that they're fucking making me want to sign. Fuck that. I had a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, "Get the fuck out of here." Right? She's like, "Dude." She's like, "If you're not going to do it," my lawyer was like, "Dude, you're not a French citizen. It doesn't
Right.
fucking matter, right?" And I was at four
Yeah.
and a half years almost, or 4 years and some change. I was done anyway. I was moving trucks around the base just to till my contract ended. So it was just time. And so when I made that shift, I was fucking scared, man. Right, Jordan? Right? I was scared because I had another transition, but
Right.
I got a second transition. Not many guys get a double take. And
Yeah.
so I was
Yeah.
like, I
Right.
don't care what the fuck happens. I'm sticking to my wake ups. I'm sticking to the thing. I haven't been perfect. Right? I'm not some perfect piece in glass. I'll admit that. There's no doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, I've fucking stayed locked on that
Yeah.
piece and that blueprint, and then stayed doing what I knew was my purpose, right? That or what I see as my purpose or understand as my purpose, which is give as much value to my clients as possible. Do what I say I'm gonna fucking do.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
fucking do, right? And that's all I can do.
Let me ask you a piece about branding. This is kind of an interesting component, but it's something that I've heard when you talk about like while you're in the French Foreign Legion, and you're like, I was just now I had some time to focus on my tattoos and sort of going back to personal brand. How do you see the role of like crafting the image that you put out to the world? How important is that to you?
Oh, bro, presentation matters.
Yeah.
I knew, but also you have to be authentic about what this is that self-awareness piece. Just like
Mhm.
the conscience, you're also being directed, man, how to present yourself. Everybody knows how they want to look. They do.
Right.
Not everybody wants to
Right.
look like fucking me. I totally understand that. But they are being directed to their best vision of themselves in some
Yeah.
capacity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to look like us with tattoos on the neck and shit. That's fine.
Right. Right.
But that's not for everybody. And I understand. But if they're not executing their divine vision of themselves,
Mm.
they're 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 losing out on something because now they
Yeah.
can't present themselves in an authentic way.
Right.
My teeth, my gold teeth, my tattoos, my all this, it was part of a very long vision I had since for years, since young child, how
Wow.
I wanted to look, how I wanted to look. And so when I had the focus and the time and I got serious about presenting myself well, internally and externally, that's when a lot of things aligned and they got plugged in and all came together. And
Sure.
then I could really communicate my message in an authentic way because I was presented in an authentic way. I felt
Right.
correct in my own skin. So many pieces of that are important. And people who aren't
Yeah.
personal branding are personal brands, but they are not how they look, how they feel, or
Yeah.
they're not an authentic brand. They
Right.
haven't self
Right.
actualized enough. They
Right.
need to do more work.
Right. Right. Physically, how do you feel? Like, I mean, you work out every day. You've gone through buds, 7 years in the SEAL teams, 5 years in the Legion.
Yeah.
And I've never heard you talk about yoga. So, how do you stay, feeling good and not just like tightening up so much that your joints hurt and shit?
Damn, it's a really good question. Man, I've had some injuries, but I've been pretty fortunate. I must be pretty hardy or something, but I stretch out a little bit,
Yeah.
but I do a lot of full range of motion stuff, controlled movements.
Hmm.
Like when I squat, not all the time when I'm going heavier, but like on the Smith machine and stuff, dude, I'll go full range,
Hmm.
right? I'll go full range. I'll do full range on leg extensions, full range. I'll do some sprints, some sled pushes just to keep that resistance intact. And then
Yeah.
I'll stretch a little bit. But for the
Yeah.
most part, I think I try to stay movement minded. I try to be very mindful of my caloric intake because I'm
Yeah.
larger. It's like a battle for me to stay smaller, right? It's like my
Really,
body
I
wants
have the
to,
opposite issue, dude.
My body wants to put on weight, dude, fast. Like I'm
Yeah.
220, dude, and I eat like 1,800 calories, maybe 2,000
Wow.
in a day.
Yeah.
And so, because my body wants to go 240, like quick, and not all good
Right.
weight, mind you. I wish it was all good weight, but and so that's how but that's also important for me to stay engaged in my
Yeah.
disciplines and my focus because you get out of your head by getting into your body, and I think people would do well to focus more on their physical disciplines, and it really improves that mental clarity.
100%. Um, Now let's just talk about kind of what you're doing now and maybe transition into, just your career currently and what you're doing for your clients and your own
Mhm.
personal brand.
Everything I do is one on one right now. So fitness, mindset, lifestyle coaching, right? In that catch all term, but it's really habit building. So anybody that feels like they've lost some momentum, they need some fresh energy into the system, or they just want some outside perspective. Some guys I work with are already high level, some even better fitness than me, but they just want some outside perspective on mindset or maybe some setting some next professional goals or just be able to speak very plainly about issues that are going on, and then pairing it with the physical disciplines, right?
Yeah.
Adjusting schedule. Everybody can benefit from some outside accountability and a tighter schedule, more efficient way of eating, right? Or at least get some new information if something's stagnating. And so that's,
100%.
from business executives to veterans to high school kids to 7-year-old grandmas, man. I got them all on my roster, and everybody
Oh,
just
that's
kind of tailor it.
awesome, dude.
I tailor everything on the Zooms because not everybody, it's not one size fits all. I can't shove a square peg in a round hole, right? Not everyone's going to
Right.
get up at 3:30 in the morning, but people can get up a little earlier, and people can be more mindful about what they do, how they act, how they think, what they ingest psychologically and physically. All those pieces, just that raising of consciousness of like, why am I thinking this way? Why am I reactive to this? What's holding me back? And so those are the things that I work on with people. And right now I'm still doing one-on-ones. I might get the group at some point, but I really like the personal
Yeah.
touch that I get with clients. And yeah, man, so that's it. We got an elite program and a mid-level. So it's just kind of what you want. The elite's just a little bit more intensive on Zooms and just things like that. So yeah,
Right.
man, we're keeping
Right.
it popping, bro, but that's the flow.
Oh, dude, and it's crazy, like how you've sort of manifested your family now. I mean, that may be a weird way of putting it, but
No,
it's pretty crazy.
100%. Man, I
Yeah,
used to visualize because visualization is a big part of it, like morning process of visualization is a big part of what I teach people and what I do. So, man, I think, for a lot of years I would picture like my beautiful wife, my blonde wife walking into a Hawaiian hotel with my kids and shit, gray slick back hair. And it's coming, right? It's coming,
yeah,
dude. I
right.
got engaged,
Yeah.
have a wonderful fiance, and now the baby. It's just, I feel very fortunate. I feel very blessed, very grateful. And so for me, I like to say gratitude is an action. It's not a feeling. People are like, oh, I'm grateful for their kids, but then they are continue to just do things that aren't benefiting them. I go, dude, show your gratitude. Man, are you
Yeah,
grateful for this life? Are you grateful having legs and stuff, dude? Are you
right.
grateful? Then fucking move around, man. Are you grateful for be it your family? Well, then go into that investment. Dive into that fear, right? Push the pace a little
Mhm.
bit for yourself and your family. There's a lot of places where if we're grateful, show it, right? A lot of times
Right.
that's stepping into a little fear. It has to be. It has to be uncomfortable. If you really want to show you're grateful, you got to step into a little discomfort.
Right. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that visualization piece is huge. I mean, have you seen the Blue Angels documentary on Amazon Prime?
I've seen. I haven't not watched it though.
Bro, you should check it out. It's fucking sick. Like goosebumps sick. It's fucking super cool. Especially coming like not from the Navy aviation community. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a different side of my world. But anyway, so they do chair flying before all of their flights. Where so they're in like a
Hmm.
boardroom and they're sitting there and they have like the map where they're about to fly on their desk and they're pretty much eyes closed and like the person who's like the squadron leader or whatever is like calling shit out and they're like pretending that they're in the cockpit of their airplane, and but going through the movements in their head, they're visualizing their entire flight in fucking buds, dude. And buds prep, basically from the second you get out of boot camp, visualization is starting to they're
Yeah.
starting to pound it into your head. So there's a there's like, actually, it's not just like some kind of a woo woo thing. Maybe it helps, maybe it's placebo. Like, no, it seems that there is, at the most elite level, people are doing this, and it is translating into the results. So that's
Yeah.
crazy that it happened in your life too.
Yeah, man, it's massively important, and I can't stress it enough, dude. So anybody listening, man, start visualizing what you want. It's game changer.
I love that, man. Well, it sounds like you got baby in the background a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I won't take up too much more of your time, brother. This has been amazing. You've been so generous. It's been an honor to have you on here to share your story and to just like talk with you like a fucking human, man. So,
Yeah, I
do you have
appreciate
any
you,
parting
bro, sending
thoughts?
me that coffee and the coffee drip and stuff, dude. You're the fucking man, dude. We'll link up when I'm down in definitely this summer or something, or down there
Please
sooner,
do.
down by the beach, bro.
100%, dude. I'd love to. Let's hit up Ryan and we'll go grab a beer somewhere.
Super game, dude. I fucking love it, man. Keep pressing forward, bro. Everybody else watching, you have a great day. Stay
Thank
pressing.
you. Thank you very much. It's been
Yeah.
Mind Body Mushroom, brought to you by Wind and Sea Coffee. Check us out online, and I'll shoot you a bag to say thank you as well, Ryan,
You're
Taylor.
the
Appreciate it,
you're
brother.
the man, brother. I appreciate you,
All right,
bro.
bro. I'll talk to you
Out here,
later.
y'all.
Peace. Later.
So I'll let